Pope Leo's warning about the impact and the destruction that will be brought upon us by artificial intelligence, and he did so in his first encyclical, which is seen as a veiled critique of President Donald Trump. In fact, the encyclical, which is a 235-page document, basically sets the tone for Pope Leo's papacy. And it took aim at AI advancements, which the Trump administration, of course, has sought to accelerate. So while Trump and Silicon Valley tech titans keep on, citing that the US must absolutely beat China in the AI race, Pope Leo ain't buying it. In fact, here's what he wrote. He compared AI to the Tower of Babel, which I'm gonna go to you to explain in just a moment, Cenk. So he writes that the primary choice is not between a yes or no to technology, but rather between constructing Babel or rebuilding Jerusalem. Cenk, what does that mean?
So the Tower of Babel is when, I don't love that analogy that he's using, but when humans work together to build a very large tower that almost reached God. God got jealous and knocked it down and then made us speak all different languages so we couldn't work together anymore. Not the best story in the Bible, if you ask me. And that's why that's called Babel, when you can't understand people, they're babbling, right? And so, but what he's referring to is the haughtiness and the pride of humanity as they build this monstrosity, in the case of AI, thinking that it can't go wrong. I understand the power of that analogy, and in that case, I'm worried he's right.
So Leo has had quite a bit of conflict with President Donald Trump. In fact, just last month, they had a conflict over objections to the Iran war. Pope Leo, not a fan of war, whereas Trump clearly is a thirsty bitch for war. So in response, JD Vance, the vice president, and Trump suggested that he just shut up and focus on your papacy. In response, Leo decided to expand on his concerns of AI and how it will affect global warfare, saying that no algorithm can make war morally acceptable. AI does not remove the intrinsic inhumanity of conflict. Indeed, it can only bring about conflict more quickly and render it more impersonal, lowering the threshold for resorting to violence, transforming defense into threat prediction, and thus reducing victims to data. The construction of a world in a state of perpetual conflict is an evil and must be named for what it is. I wholeheartedly agree with him on that. In fact, new AI technology in warfare has been tested out in Iran, and we've seen how that worked out. Killed all sorts of innocent civilians, but who cares, right?
Now the Trump administration is like on a warpath against Catholics. This is so weird. I remember when the Republicans used to pretend no good Catholic could be a Democrat, because of abortion. You must listen to what the Pope says. Now they're like, you should never listen to what the Pope says. The Pope is anti-war and anti-AI, and we're all making billions from AI. I mean, you're all gonna get laid off, but who cares about you? And you're all gonna die in that war, but who cares about you? I can't believe the Pope is, is for the poor and the middle class. Boo! Is for peace. Boo! And now they're full bore attacking Catholics and the Pope.
Yeah, that's right. It's crazy. I mean, look, the biggest issue is that the Pope has been critical of Israel.
Oh my God, how dare you? Don't you know you have to follow someone else's religion?
And so that's what has made him a target of the Trump administration, because he speaks the truth on issues of war and peace. And I personally appreciate him for doing it. I think it's the right thing to do, and it makes the Catholic faith look a lot better when you have the Pope speaking out against bloodshed.
So apparently Trump is calling for unity after another violent incident. And of course, depending on where you get your news, that story gets framed in completely different ways. On the right, the angle is that Trump is a uniquely powerful figure who keeps getting targeted because he's so effective. On the left, the focus is on something much more uncomfortable for them to deal with: Trump's long relationship with violent rhetoric and the political climate that he's helped to create. Now, you just saw how easy it is to look at one story and immediately compare two completely different narratives. And that is exactly why I recommend Ground News. It's a website and app that pulls together reporting from across the political spectrum so you can compare headlines side by side, see the bias distribution of the coverage, check the factuality ratings of the sources, and even see who owns the outlets behind the reporting. Because once you start looking at coverage that way, it becomes a lot easier to see when the media isn't informing you, it's managing your perception. Ground News also has a blind spot feed, which highlights stories that one side of the political spectrum is barely covering at all, so you're not trapped inside the version of events your media bubble wants you to accept. Go to ground.news/TYT or scan the QR code and get 40% off the Ground News Vantage plan. It's a great deal. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.